and welcome to What's Your Story? My guest tonight is Mr. Greg Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer is a motivational speaker, a Lutheran minister, and a former musician. Sit back tonight, relax, and view the interesting story that you are about to see. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Thanks for having me.
Greg, let's start telling the viewing audience a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born here in Connecticut, New Fairfield, Connecticut. Lived here most of my life, and I love living here.
Yeah, so you're a Connecticut Yankee through and through.
I am.
All right now. Where did you go to high school?
I went to New Fairfield High School.
New Fairfield High, and you don't know the mascot, do you?
No, I don't. We were talking about that earlier. And then after that, I went to college and then graduate work.
All right,
Yeah.
so we got a lot of stuff to get to with you.
Okay.
You're a very interesting guy here. So let's start with, I read on your page on online, please tell our viewing audience what a psychological showman is. I got that from your page. Please, what is a psychological showman?
It's a long story. There's a gentleman from the UK, his name is Darren Brown, and he used that a few years ago, and there's a lot of people that they talk about psychology and magic or mentalism, and so the focus really is doing a show or doing a lecture with the focus on people's minds and how people think. And that journey has taken me probably 25, 30 years to come to that title.
How people think.
Yeah, how we perceive information, how we focus, what we pay attention to, the stories that we tell ourselves. Like the name of yours is storytelling, and every single one of us has a story that we walk into and we live, and it's kind of like a narrative that we live up to.
And that story often has a soundtrack, does it not?
It does, and it also has limitations, because if someone thinks that they can't do something, or they have words in their head or a soundtrack, as you say, that's saying they can't do it, then it's a self-fulfilled prophecy, and it becomes true.
Really?
Yeah.
So are we talking mind over matter here?
I think we're talking focus and we're talking conditioning. I think that's what it's all about.
And how do you find people are conditioned to think a certain way? Now, does that conditioning take place because of the socioeconomic conditions they're in, because of their education, because of their culture? How do we get conditioned to think the way we do? For example, if you're from the Far East,
Right.
The view of women is very different
Right.
than it would be in the United States.
Right.
So you'd have a different mindset.
Exactly.
Is that what happens?
Well, yes, and that's the reason why I love to travel. I take people all over the world. I
Yes.
just came back from Ireland. I was just in London. I'm heading out to Israel. If you can go to different countries, you can see different patterns of thinking. Now, here's the scary part.
All right, what's the scary part?
The scary part is this. The average person has about 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. So every day you wake up from your dreaming, and then you have these thoughts every day. So you get up, you do what you have to do. Now, the next day, 90% of the things that you thought about the day before, you're repeating. So you get up, you have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every day. The next day, you repeat it. It's like that movie Groundhog Day with
really? Yeah,
Bill Murray.
with Bill Murray,
He's
yeah.
repeating it over and over again. This is what most of us do, and you know why we do it?
No, why do we do it?
Comfort.
I was going to say,
we want to be
and
comfortable.
Those pajamas fit.
They fit, and we can count on it. In today's world, we don't know what's going on politically. We don't know what's going on in the environment. We don't know what's going on with our jobs. We're looking for some kind of certainty as much as we think that we want things to change, right?
We really don't.
We don't. No, we want comfort. And so 45 to 65,000 thoughts, and then tomorrow they're going to be the same. There's a lot of comfort with that. There's a lot of payoff.
My goodness.
Yeah.
45 to 60,000 thoughts in a day.
Every single day. You know?
24 hours,
And you're doing it when you're dreaming. I mean, all the time you're doing it.
Well, I don't remember my dreams.
Okay.
So does everybody dream?
I think everybody does dream. You know, it's not that everybody remembers the dreams, but you daydream, right?
I do.
You know, you ever been on the highway and you're driving somewhere and you think, oh, I can't believe I got here to Nutmeg Studio. I didn't even think about it.
I do. Yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah, so-
absolutely. How did I get here?
Exactly, because your mind is on autopilot.
So it goes to autopilot, takes you where you got to go, and it lets you entertain yourself.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah, most people live lives of quiet
desperation, yeah.
And most people, I just heard this the other day from Mel Robbins, a third of the population in America are not happy with their life.
A third.
Yes. It's insane.
Tell the audience who Mel Robbins is.
Well, I just found her on the internet. You can Google her, but
Yeah.
she has this philosophy that no matter what you want to do in life, you have 5 seconds to make it happen. So you asked me to be on the television show. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever is new, whatever is outside your comfort zone, a lot of times we put the brakes on it. We say, nope, I don't want to do it. I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. And so her philosophy is you count down from 5 to 1, and the minute you get to 1, you just do it, even though you're afraid. It's a great philosophy.
Wow.
It's easy. It's simple.
It's easy.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
Ask her out.
That's right.
You know, ask for the
ask
job.
her out.
You know, whatever it is.
Get up the courage and go over there and ask
and
her.
walk across the room. Yeah, whatever that is, what's holding you back is what's familiar and comfortable.
What's holding you back is your comfort zone.
Exactly.
And we stay in our comfort zones, even though it's deleterious to our advancing.
Because we want certainty.
Because we want certainty.
And security.
Certainty and security more important than putting your neck out there.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, I know that you do a show, Mindful Conversations.
Yes.
Tell the audience about that. What's that all about?
Well, about 3 years ago, a good friend of mine, Carol Moore, invited me to come on her show just like you invited me today. And so we did the show, and then a year later, she asked me on again. And then as I was walking out, the producer, Doug, said to me, hey, you want your own show? And I went, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom, yeah.
And I said, yes. And he goes, no, go home and think about it. I said, Doug, I don't want to think. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
So
yeah.
we've been doing it in Litchfield for a year and a half. And then out of that comes a show that we do here called Mindful Conversations After Hours, which is a little more intimate, more of a closed set. There's no desks. There's just 2 chairs. And it's really just a conversation.
So what types of things do you explore in your show mentally with people?
Well, I'm looking for patterns of success.
Oh.
Like, I want you to be on the show. So I'm going to say, you know, James, what is the way you think, or how do you think, and how do you construct reality? How have you been successful in this and that? And so I interview authors, I interview artists, I interview, you know, people that are performers. Like one of my friends, Chris, is going to be on the show next month. And I'm looking for patterns of behavior. And the reason why we call it Mindful Conversations is we want to tap into people's success patterns and then share that with the world.
You know, I also read that you encourage people to search innerly for their mental diamonds.
Right.
What's a mental diamond?
Okay.
Greg, please.
If you think of a diamond, like a 7 of diamonds
I
on
do,
a playing
yeah,
card,
I do.
right? The top part of the diamond would be like a triangle, and that's really your conscious mind. It's like, I know I have to do this, what do I have to do? And you're consciously thinking about what you need to do. The bottom part of the diamond is the subconscious, okay? So this is where our power is. Just before I came here tonight, I'm getting everything ready, got my suit, my tie, got everything in my car, and James, as I'm sitting in my car, I have this feeling that I forgot something. And I'm thinking, well, it's not my camera. I got my camera.
Got my camera.
I got my tie, I got my suit, I got my brush. I said to myself, what am I missing?
Yeah.
The conscious mind didn't have the answer. And then as I was driving around the block, I thought, oh, I forgot my cold medicine. But it came to me from the subconscious. And so what I teach people is to go inward first is really where your power is. It's tapping into your subconscious mind. The resources that you need to be successful in life and business are not necessarily in the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is limited. The mind can only think of a few things at one moment. It's the subconscious mind that has the answers, and we have to tap into that. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
it does, because I often think about my own subconscious mind,
Yeah.
and I often think about my reality, which is a great segue here because you challenge people's perception
Right.
of reality.
Right.
Please explain what that's all about.
Okay.
What would if you were to talk to me on your show,
Right.
you would first then ascertain what my reality is from me,
Right.
and then how would you challenge me? What would you do?
Well, I don't know if I would challenge you, but what I know is every single person has a map of reality. Like you have a globe on your desk,
yes.
right? So that's a re-representation of the world. It's not the real world.
Right.
It's just a model of the world.
Exactly.
And so I have a model of the world. You have a model of the world. The people that are working here tonight, the people that are watching today or tonight, each one of us has a different model of the world, which we make sense of. And there are some areas that overlap a little bit, you know, whether it's political or religious or maybe just being a good person. But as you said at the top of the show, people from different countries, they see things differently. So everyone constructs inside of them a map of reality, and then they live out accordingly. And so I wouldn't challenge somebody, but I would try to match their model of the world so that I could build rapport with them. That's the key.
So the key is understanding a person's reality.
Yes.
And if a person is truthful,
Right.
because that plays a major role.
I would think so.
Yeah,
Sure.
people have to be honest about what their reality really is.
Right.
Is it possible to run into people who don't really know their reality?
Well, I think it's like fish in water. I think there are, the situation or the analogy is maybe fish don't know
That
they're
it's
in
in
the
water.
ocean.
Yes.
They're in water.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think a lot of times people don't think that they're re-representing a map. What they're actually seeing is real. And we know it's not true. We know that people that have seen a crime scene or an accident, you line them up and you ask them questions, and everyone has a different perception. It's not all the same. You know what I mean?
So that's how that happens.
It does, because whatever I'm viewing, I'm
Yes.
viewing within my filters,
Yeah,
and
through
then
your
I'm projecting
prism.
it out.
It's coming through your prism.
Exactly.
And your prism is not my prism.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we're wrong.
No.
It means we have two different prisms.
Right, and if you had a parent that told you could accomplish anything, or if you had a parent that said, you're a loser, you're probably going to do jail time, you're probably not going to be successful, or a teacher, or a best friend, I think the people you surround yourself with are the greatest influencers, because they are going to program you for their model of the world. You have to be very careful who you hang out with.
My God, I mean, you're talking like back to family.
Yeah.
Because those perceptions of yourself begin there, do they not?
They do. I'm thinking probably between the ages of 2 and 5 in the
Yes.
subconscious.
And those perceptions follow you all of your life if you're not challenged by someone to rethink them and to refocus them.
Yeah, sometimes a therapist can do it, or sometimes you can be your own best therapist when you start seeing patterns. You marry an alcoholic, you divorce her or him, and then you marry another alcoholic. You start seeing patterns with work, and you say, wait a minute, I am the person that's showing up at all of these different environments or all of these different occasions. What am I doing?
I'm the common denominator.
I'm the common denominator.
Yeah.
So it's like a mirror. It's
Yes.
like a reflection.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
reflecting back to you. Have you ever heard the story about the guy who was looking for answers to moving to a certain town? And he said to the guy, what are the people like in this town? And the guy says, well, what were the people like where you lived? He says, oh, they were really nice. They were really friendly. He says, oh, when you move here, you're going to find a lot of people just like that. And then another guy said, hey, what's the people like here? He goes, well, what's the people like back home where you were from? Oh, they're angry. They're very upset. He says, that's the kind of people you're going to find here.
Wow.
It's a reflection.
I got you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Wow. Tell me something about fear. When you're talking to people,
Right.
and you're asking people or encouraging people, not challenging them, to alter their reality, you told us earlier that people are comfortable right where they are.
Right.
That's why they stay there.
Right.
Fear is a major factor in what we do and how we think.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't think you can get away with it, away from it. Inside the brain, there's a thing called the amygdala, and it's there to protect you, fight or flight. If
yeah.
you see a dinosaur coming,
yeah.
or a car or a bus,
Yeah.
that amygdala is helping you to get out of the way.
Hey, beat it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there's a famous book called Fear, Feel the Fear. How's it go? Feel the fear and do it anyway, something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
So the idea is the fear is never going to go away. You have to break past it. Your mind is there to help you survive, right? And sure, you don't want to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, or you don't want to jump out of a plane without a parachute, right? That's crazy.
Right.
But there are certain things that you have to take a risk, and you have to calculate it. And the key that I think is desire. You have to have more desire than the fear. Like if you see a beautiful woman or a nice guy and you want to talk to them, there might be fear, but your desire has to be bigger than your fear.
Now that is really profound,
Right.
because you have to, what you're telling me is you have to want
You have to want.
to alter your reality.
Right.
And if you don't want to do it,
Right.
it's never going to happen.
No, I deal with a lot of people in sales that they don't want to pick up the phone. I did a workshop a couple years ago, and the name of it was called "Why Does the Phone Weigh So Much?"
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
for fundraisers. And these were people that had to call donors or alumni and ask for donations. And it was all on the psychological implications of rejection and fear and being uncomfortable with whatever the person said. And we focused on the psychological barriers and how to break past them. Because let's face it, some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no, but you have to do the work, you know?
You know, being a guy, I'm very familiar with rejection from women.
Oh.
You know, you come forward and you screw up enough courage to ask them out,
Right.
and they say, "Why can't we just be friends, Jim?" You know, you go, "Ah,
I don't believe that.
So I just got
happens to you?
squashed, you know. But the guys that I have talked to, we have developed sort of an armadillo skin.
Right.
And I think that's what you're talking about. My desire to be with this person, this woman,
Right.
must be stronger than the fear I have of encountering or enduring whatever her response may be.
Right, right.
And when that happens, sometimes a woman will say yes, and sometimes she'll say no.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're less of a person.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're a loser.
Right.
It just means she said no.
Right,
And it only means she said no that time.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's forever.
Right.
So I got you.
Well, I focus more in sales. Like I take people all over the world, and I'll focus on churches, or I'll focus on groups that want to go to Israel.
Yeah.
And I'll say to myself, okay, out of 1,000 people, maybe 100 people want to have a conversation. Out of 100 people, maybe 50 people will go to my website. Out of 50 people, maybe 25 people will actually sign up, and we'll bring 40 or 50 people to Israel next year. And I just realize it's a numbers game, and there's no way to beat the numbers. I mean, you can get better at the numbers,
Yeah, yeah.
but you have to play the numbers. It's like going to Foxwoods with $100. You can play, dollars and, spend the whole day,
Yeah.
or you can put $100 in and pull it down once and lose and walk away.
Walk away, yeah.
So I think it's just a game.
It's just a game.
It's a game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, well, Chris,
Greg.
I was thinking about my pastor as you were talking.
Oh, that's right, because you're a lay minister, right?
I am, yes,
Wow.
I am. Greg, help me with this. Perhaps you've heard this before. Motivational speakers are sometimes associated with snake oil salesmen.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what I have heard.
Oh, okay.
That's what I have learned. That's what I have seen.
Okay.
That's part of my reality. That's part
Oh.
of my conditioning.
Interesting.
To understand that, hey, somebody's trying to sell you something here. That's what the bottom line is. They're trying to sell you something. What is that all about?
Well, here's what I would say, and I would say this. Anytime someone is speaking and someone is listening, someone is selling and someone is buying, whether it's the girl and boy, or whether it's the boss, or whether it's the employee asking for a raise, we're all persuading everyone else. So sales is not really a sleazy business. Nothing happens in this world without someone persuading or selling someone. When I do motivational speaking, I'm not up there selling a book. I'm not selling a seminar. What I want to do is empower people so that they realize that they hold the key to their success, and it's all within them. So that's, I'm there for them. That's my motivation.
Can you sense in the audience skepticism?
Well, I use mentalism, which is a form of magic, to break the boundaries. So the first thing I do is I walk out with a chain and a key on it.
Okay.
And I just hold it up, and I don't say anything. And as I'm holding it up, I tell them everyone has a story. And we tell stories all the time. And then I walk out into the audience and I hand the key to someone.
Okay.
And so right there, I grab their attention.
Absolutely.
And that's the key to it. You need to get their attention. You need to hook them. And the very next thing I ask them is, what are you looking for in your life and why don't you have it? That's how I open my motivational speeches.
And when you walk out and you see an audience, right? What's happening to you at that moment, Greg, when you walk out there and you see all these hopeful faces, these bright eyes, people looking for a way? What happens to you?
Well, I'm empowered. When I started years ago in high school, my teacher was teaching a speech class.
Yes,
and I was in high school in New Fairfield. So I get up, I give a speech, and she looks at me, she looks at the class, and she says, Greg, you could teach this class. So from 4th grade on, all the way through high school, working in that capacity, and now I'm 56, going on 57.
Yeah.
It's very natural. Just like what you do here, it's very natural. You just do it because of who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a part of my identity.
It's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
When did you realize that you had this power? Was it at that moment?
No, it was earlier. I was in school, and it was probably 3rd grade, and the music teacher, Mr. White, his name was Pete White, got up and played a musical record. It was an LP in those days.
Okay.
And he had 2 chairs, and we were to walk around the chairs, and somehow I was to walk behind this girl. Her name was, I think it was Mary Wilson. And I walked around her, and all of a sudden, she started walking faster. The whole room started laughing. And I thought to myself, I can make a room laugh.
Well,
and that was it. A performer was born just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her name was Mary Wilson.
I think that was her, or Mary Bulson. I'm not sure. I mean, we're going back 40.
Because if her name was Mary Wilson, she probably joined the Supremes, because it was a Mary Wilson.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I remember the incident. I don't remember the name. But
Absolutely,
her first name was
absolutely.
Mary. But in that time frame, I thought to myself, I can be a performer. I know how to make an audience react.
Do you think it's a gift?
I think so. My aunt and uncle were in show business.
Okay.
I've always been involved with theater. I used to work in summer stock. So, and as a minister, I'm up every single Sunday.
Okay.
So
all right.
yeah.
We're going to get to that part of you too.
Okay.
There is talking.
Yep.
And then there's communicating.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Well, talking, I relate to noise. You know what I mean?
I do.
Communication is a connection that you make with another person, and I think that's profound. Most of us don't do it. We just talk, and we talk past each other. Noise. It's all it is. Noise.
Why?
Why what? Why noise?
Why do we do that?
I think
We do it to avoid communicating?
we're avoiding the real connection. I think the intimacy, and when I talk about intimacy, I don't mean a sexual thing.
No, I got you.
I just
Yeah.
mean a connection
Yes.
that most people in this world avoid because it's uncomfortable to be seen, to be heard, to really truly connect with another person. In my workshop, and I call it Mind Yourself, we deal with exercises where I show what real, true human connection really looks like, and it's profound. It's profound,
Wow. Give us a taste of what really true human connection is like. What is that like?
Well, I'm going to tap into you because
right.
we just met.
All
and
right.
I didn't set this up.
Okay.
But have you ever had an experience where you're with a loved one, maybe it's family or someone you know, where you're thinking about something and then all of a sudden they say it to you?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. And I think there's a connection that is deeper than anything we can ever explain.
That happens regularly between my girlfriend and I.
I was going to say.
She's thinking something and I say it, or vice versa.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. And so you can relate to that because you've had the experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about.
I think it is. I mean, what would be life if there was no true connection like that?
Well, let's talk about the noise too, right? The noise is necessary, right? Because if you don't have the noise, you can't get to the conversation.
Well, the noise is this.
Yeah.
How was your day, James?
Yeah, it's okay.
Fine.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
That's
yeah.
the noise.
Hey, did the Mets win? Yeah, they won.
Yeah,
they
that's
won.
the noise.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't
Small
mean
talk and
small talk doesn't mean a thing.
and there's a place for it. You
Yeah.
know, great to see you again. You look great. Great tie.
Yeah.
And I do mean that. I said that earlier to you. But the noise really is not. It's not deep and it's very superficial.
I see.
And I think people are craving for real connection in our world today.
Why? What is
Well,
it about our world today?
You know what I think has changed? Like, I'm dating myself. Like, I'm 56, going on 57. But I see the kids today glued to their phones.
Oh, boy.
Glued
Yeah.
to their technology.
Yeah.
You know, and our world wants everybody to be so connected electronically
Yeah.
that I think we're losing the humanity of the whole thing.
Good old conversation.
I mean, it's nice that I can send a text and somebody in Fiji can get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's nice, yeah.
I can have a YouTube site, I can have a website, I can send it, and I can book a speaking gig in Texas.
Right.
Just like that. I think it's amazing. But I think living offline and really learning how to connect with people. Here's some stats. People who learn how to connect with people
Yes.
live longer,
All right.
are happier, and make more money.
Cool. That's all the time we have for part one of our interview with Mr. Greg Dwyer. Everybody has a story. What's yours? Please tune in again. Until next time, I'm James Ransom Reed Jr. Please tell us your story.